The rain that has fallen in Rio Grande do Sul since the weekend has caused the levels of the state's main rivers to show significant increases. Impressive images recorded on ERS 130, between Arroyo do Mayo and Roca Sales, in Vale do Taquari, show the volume of rain that hit Rio Grande do Sul between Sunday and Tuesday. A truck was completely submerged in water, and the driver had to be rescued by the fire department. The images were recorded by local media journalists reporting following the damage caused by the extratropical cyclone in Rio Grande do Sul. According to civil defense, more than 50 cities suffered damage due to heavy rains and 4 people died. The truck driver had stopped to rest at a road point that was considered safe. But when he realized the water had risen too much and submerged the truck. Because he couldn't swim, the driver needed the help of firefighters to leave the vehicle. He did not require medical attention and was safe. The formation of the cyclone caused the level of the Taquari River through which the truck sank to rise by more than 13 meters in less than 12 hours. Early Tuesday morning, City Hall asked residents to climb onto the roofs of their homes. Images released on social networks showed water flooding streets and flooding homes and businesses. According to the bulletin released at 23.00, the river level was at 22.37 meters. An extratropical cyclone formed in Rio Grande do Sul on Monday evening, September 4, 2023. The ravages of changing weather begin to show during the day in more than 40 cities, marked by gusts of wind, rising river levels, homelessness, deaths and other problems. According to the latest balance sheet released by the Civil Defense, the number of homeless people is 426. The cities most affected were in the northern region, Serra and Vale do Taquari. Strong winds, hail and heavy rain have affected the state over the past few days. State authorities reported several locations recording more than 200 millimeters of rain in the 72-hour period to September 4, including Paso Fundo, 291.6 millimeters, Agua Santa, 221.6 millimeters, Ijuy, 217.6 millimeters, Entre Ijuas, 207.4 millimeters, Vaqueria, 202.2 millimeters. Severe flooding has affected communities in the municipalities of Santo Expedito do Sul, Lajedo do Bugar, Nova Bassano, São Jorge, Bento Goncalves, Caxias do Sul and Ibarairas. Further flooding is expected as river levels are high and in some cases still rising. The state civil defense issued a flood warning for people living near the Antaz, Taquari and Cai rivers. State authorities confirmed that 4 people have lost their lives due to bad weather. 1 person died in Mato Castellano after trying to cross the Piracuas River. The second death occurred in Paso Fundo, where a man was electrocuted. 2 people died after their car was swept away by floodwaters while crossing a bridge in Ibarairas. More than 200 homes were damaged by strong winds, hail or flooding. At one point, more than 350 people had fled their homes. The civil defense says this figure started to decline at the end of September 4. Roads have been blocked at least 10 locations statewide. The municipality of Nova Bassano is one of the areas worst hit by flooding after the overflow of the Sabia River. About 35 houses were damaged and 90 people were displaced, and 30 houses were damaged by the floods in the city of São Jorge, where 40 people were displaced. Residents of Vale do Taquari who spent the night as flood evacuees on the roofs of their houses were rescued with the help of helicopters. Aerial rescues were carried out in the municipality of Roca Sales, one of the towns most affected by the flooding of the Taquari River, which this morning exceeded 28 meters in Porto da Estrela. The Taquari River reached one of the highest levels in its history this Tuesday morning. The levels are so high that the CPRM electronic measuring device in Porto da Estrela has stopped operating and measurements can now only be made by boat using physical measuring instruments. Mayor Roca Sales pointed out that the municipality is isolated and the water is reaching buildings such as the hospital and town hall. "It's very hard in here, a real tragedy," the water is rising so fast there is no way for people to get their things. Little by little, he locked one side, locked the other, he said in an interview with local media. The situation is very critical. I am on the main road of Roca Sales and the water is flowing. So practically speaking, the floods are bigger than in 2020. It's very complicated, the floods keep getting a lot, explained Mayor Milton Fontana. Residents of the town of Roca Sales were forced to take refuge on the roofs of their houses due to the flooding of the Taquari River in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Water rose rapidly in Mucam and Roca Sales last night. The flood had reached the second floor of a number of residents' houses. Knowing the condition of several cities in the state, the federal government decided to deploy the army to help the people affected by the rains in Vale do Taquari. This information was conveyed by the Minister of Social Communication of the Presidential Secretariat of the Republic. The city of Mucam also recorded flooding and families isolated on rooftops due to heavy rain. The local mayor, Mateus Trojan, MDB, used social media to call for the mobilization of volunteers with trucks. The deputy mayor, Amarildo Baldasso, PSD, told local media that the situation was chaotic, and there was not enough equipment to rescue those stranded. The Civil Defense of Encantado, a neighboring city, called for the mobilization of boat and jet ski owners to help with the relocation of isolated people. There is also a request to donate mattresses, blankets, pillows and clothing. Firefighters and civil defense are unable to serve all residents who need help. We ask anyone who can get on the roof and dress warmly. Professional help from the state will only come in the early hours of the morning, said a statement published on the town hall's social network. The state civil defense detailed that there are 215 homeless people in Rio Grande do Sul. As of Monday evening, the cities with the highest rainfall in the last 72 hours were recorded at more than 200 millimeters each. Paso Fundo topped the rankings by recording 291.6 millimeters in that period. In Cruzeiro do Sul, City Hall does not know the estimated number of homeless people. However, his judgment was that dozens of families would need help. In Lajeado, early this morning 4 gyms had been opened to accommodate families affected by the flood, and City Hall did not rule out the possibility of opening a 5th shelter by the end of the morning. In Ibarairas, a husband and wife, Del Franciscato, 50, and Irone de Fatima Franciscato, 44, were swept away by flood waters while trying to cross a bridge by car. In Santa Teresa, the situation is also starting to worsen, as the level of the Taquari River rises by around 2 meters per hour. In some parts of the city, water has flooded the streets and squares, such as in the downtown area, where the Praça do Porto, recently renovated, has been taken over. According to information, the City Hall team has mobilized to move families and their belongings from the flooded areas in the city. The extratropical cyclone that caused flooding and left 4 people dead in Rio Grande do Sul is also expected to hit the southeast region, due to the formation of a cold front. According to the National Meteorological Agency, INMET, gusts of wind, rain and cold weather are expected until Wednesday, September 6, 2023. INMET issued a yellow warning of potential danger of low temperatures in the states of Minas Gerais, Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. In São Paulo, the minimum temperature will reach 15 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature will reach 18 degrees Celsius tomorrow. However, starting from the Independence holiday, the thermometer is expected to increase to 28 degrees Celsius. In Minas Gerais, the weather is expected to remain unstable, between 15 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius. This Tuesday, rain is expected to fall in Rio de Janeiro and continue until tomorrow, with temperature fluctuations between 17 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Additionally, there is also a warning for Mato Grosso do Sul, with the possibility of dropping temperatures and thunderstorms. In Santa Catarina and Paraná, accumulated rainfall could exceed 80 millimeters. In most of Rio Grande do Sul, the height can exceed 150 millimeters. Metso Meteorologia warned that rivers such as the Uruguay and Taquari were expected to overflow.
Do báo Thanh niên thống kê thì đã có rất nhiều những cái câu hỏi của quý anh chị và các bạn hỏi là VinFast đang ở đâu đó, và có nhiều hôm nay thì quả thực là báo Thanh niên đã bóc trần đấy, bóc mẽ coi như nó VinFast lột tả cái bộ mặt của VinFast, cái chuyện mà quảng cáo xe của mình. Đấy thì toàn bộ những cái thông tin mà Thái muốn chia sẻ gửi tới quý anh chị các bạn, để quý anh chị các bạn chúng ta theo dõi, chúng ta biết xem là coi như nó VinFast nổ như thế nào. Vâng, xin chào và hẹn gặp lại quý anh chị các bạn vào các cái bản tin sau. Thái sẽ tiếp tục cập nhật những cái thông tin mới nhất gửi tới quý anh chị và các bạn.